Welcome to A Dash of Life podcast, where every episode brings you a touch of spirit, a pinch of passion, and a zest for life.
Hi, thank you for joining me on episode 9. Can y'all believe this? I started this podcast more than 3 months ago. And I just want to say I thank you all for your continued support, for listening to me, and hope that some of this is helping. All right, so today, episode 9, we are going to focus on minding your thoughts and minding your words. As you know, words and thoughts can have a very powerful impact on your successes in life, but also how you approach each day and, just your overall outlook on life. And so I wanted to take a specific episode where I talk about this and then, just give you some things that can help you stay on the positive side of your thoughts processes as well as your speech patterns. And of course, the emphasis here is keeping your thoughts and your words positive, being intentional about what you say and intentional about what you think. And so being and having a full awareness of your thought processes and your thought patterns and your speech will certainly help you shift your focus to a more positive outlook. All right, so again, thank you again. Please like, subscribe, and share, if you feel like this will help someone. If you know somebody who's a negative Nelly and they need just a little bit more of a push to help them think about their negative self and their negativity that they're spreading. All right, let's go. So we will focus on awareness and recognizing a pattern of negative self-talk, actually putting a name to and calling out what that negativity is. That is very important. And then putting an emphasis on reframing your thoughts and shifting the energy alongside of those to a more positive outlook, minding your intentions. And when I say that, we have to be intentional about what we speak. Also, I'm going to focus on cultivating mindfulness, monitoring your influences. Are you always in a negative environment and that's where you get that from? Think about that. And we'll unpack this a little bit. All right, so first let's talk about recognizing your patterns, your specific patterns. You may not be fully aware of it, but sometimes, people interpret it as just that's who she is or that's who he is. And so if you take a moment and think about the words that you are saying, the thoughts that you are keeping, and whether or not they are creating positivity in your life, that will certainly help and probably be a basis to start the conversation with yourself. So when we talk about like negative thought patterns, specifically, ask yourself a few questions. Is this thought true? Do I believe that this thought is me? Or do I believe that this thought is true? And, think about that. Like, we have so many different thoughts that we experience throughout the day, and they have put a number to it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's a very high number. And if we hold those thoughts and put attention to them, then we are not being fully present in the moment. So think about that. Also, I talked about labeling your thoughts. I think labeling your thoughts is very important because if you label a thought and then you're like, this is coming out of fear, this is coming out of an assumption, this is coming out of self-doubt, then that gives you an awareness of how you can address it and what steps that you can take moving forward to prevent or to curb those thoughts when they first come in, right? When you're first aware of them. It gives you a different level of awareness when you name it and you put a name to it and indicate like what is driving that kind of thought. As I mentioned, is it self-doubt? Is it fear? Is it something else that is driving that thought? So keep that in mind as you continue to walk through this and practice. It's we have to do everything with intention, right? But I will say that this takes a lot of practice, because if you're used to just accepting whatever thoughts are coming to your mind, then you have to get used to like negating it and pushing it down and saying nope and flipping it. So I'll get into more of that later. But also one key aspect of this is to reframe the thought. And when you reframe, you ask yourself, a few questions. Again, is this thought true? If it is true, what is the evidence to support it? If it's not true, is there any evidence to support what I'm thinking right now? So ask yourself, how can I look at this differently? How can I reframe this thought? Flip it. I talked about this previously, but I also mentioned it just a little bit ago. Flip the thought. Flip it to a more constructive thought. Instead of saying, I am not this, say, I am aware of this, I am working on this, and I'm doing my best to either change it or come up out of that. That also helps give you some self-confidence of an awareness of how far you've come and the work that you are putting in to make those changes. Emphasize how you are growing and learning. Life is a journey, y'all. I talk about it all the time. But if we stay in our mind and we stay in these negative thought patterns, then one, we lose out on being present in the moment, but also lose out on giving our own self encouragement and celebrating our own self for the changes that we're making, growth that we are achieving. And so flip your thought up out of negativity and more so focus and emphasize on constructiveness, how you can change and how you've changed and what you're learning from this situation. I could stay on thought processes for a minute, but I do want to also just introduce and speak about minding your speech. Minding your speech patterns. This too is very important. I very much believe and subscribe to the fact that whatever we put out into the universe comes back to us. So if we're putting out positive words and positivity, the universe has no other response than to replay that and bring it back to you. I really wholeheartedly believe that. And so if you are one of those people that you are a complete Debbie Downer and, maybe on the pessimistic side, just know that your speech pattern is creating that reality for you. And so you can come up out of that. You can have a bright day, you can have a positive outlook. If something you feel like is happening and it's not desirable, don't even speak about the negative. Speak about the positive and where you're going, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I can't. And this is never going to happen. Well, you're right, because you're saying it's never going to happen. So you have to come up out of that and be more intentional about your speech patterns. And I should say the positivity of your speech. Are your speech patterns uplifting you and speaking life into your situation, or are they keeping you down and just causing blocks and things to occur? Negative speech patterns can also harm you. And I believe that your body responds negatively to negative speech. I feel like there's this whole energy attached to all that, and that's something else to get into. But I feel like that your body really does respond to that in a negative way. Avoid saying always and never. It's always, especially on the negative side. This always happens to me, Does it really? Avoid those speech patterns where you're saying always and never. You're right. It's always not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And so just keep that in mind as you think about it, and think about and do an assessment on really how positive or negative are your speech patterns. And we know it, but words have power. Just reiterating that words have power, thoughts have power. And so maintain a positive outlook on your situation. I said it, but speak life into your situation. Uplift yourself. Uplift your situation. And it might be difficult, especially if we're in a difficult season, but speak empowerment over your life, especially no matter what it looks like. The sky might be falling in your whole entire life right now, and you have to maintain a positive outlook. And the only way I believe to do that is to speak life into your situation, speak empowering words that allow you to focus on the positive side and not necessarily what is not going right or perceived as not going right. I believe that you have to shift your focus more to gratitude as opposed to, well, this didn't go well today. Okay, well, think about, how can you be grateful? How can you be grateful for what did happen today? Did you learn something new? If you are just thinking about this moment, if you're in a particular situation, well, ask yourself, how can I be grateful in this moment? And I believe that when you do that, you shift your energy. There's an energy shift there. Maybe at the end of the day, write down 3 things that you're grateful for the day. Like, what happened in the daytime or what happened throughout the day that you were grateful for. And this helps shift your focus in your mind, as well as bring awareness to good things that have happened. And there might be a situation that didn't go so well, but you're grateful for it because you learned from it. And you have new information that you can take moving forward. So keep that in mind as well. When you shift your focus to gratitude, your energy completely shifts. Something that might be a little bit more difficult for some people, they say misery loves company. When you grow up in a lot of chaos, you accept a lot of chaos. And so the chaotic environments that you may be in, the chaotic people that you may be around, definitely will have an impact on your own thought processes and the way that you talk. So if you're one of those people that, this is me, this is how I grew up, this is what I know, well, take an assessment of, are your environments, your influences, are they positive or are they not so positive? Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And when you come out of a chaotic environment or, just cut ties with a chaotic person, there is so much peace that comes along with that. And it's an adjustment for sure, because you're so used to operating at such a high energy level that when that comes down, it's like, whoa, something's not right here. So keep that in mind. Like, what kind of influences are you around? And I'm talking about people, your environment. A really big one is content, especially in the days of social media. Like, what kind of content are you absorbing every single day? Is it chaos? Is it violence? Is it like distracting? Is it distracting? Is it taking you out of your present moment? Or on the flip side, is it truly helping you? Is it providing empowerment, affirmations? Is it providing a positive outlook and a positive overall emphasis on what you are seeing and taking in? And I talk about in my single parent book, a single parent at 17 and now again at age 40, I talk about feeding and what we are feeding ourselves. And this kind of ties into that, because when you are on social media and you're scrolling and your algorithm is providing the same type of content, what does that look like? What are you feeding yourself? What are your eyes seeing? What are your ears hearing? Are you listening to negative music? Are you listening to positive music, uplifting music? Shows that you're watching. What kind of TV shows are you watching? And a lot of times I would say that in this day and age, there's so much content out there that it could be desensitizing you and you don't even know it. Like, it could be what was acceptable or what was not acceptable 6 months ago is now acceptable because you've watched so much of it and you've come into that. So keep that in mind about the particular environment that you are in, the particular people that you are around. Are they uplifting you or are they keeping you down? That I feel like is so important to our well-being and our health, that we have to have an awareness of where we are getting and absorbing this content and the actions from other people. And I will also say that if you feel like you are in one of those types of environment, remove yourself. Just take yourself out for about a week. Give yourself a little time for an adjustment, but you have the ability, you have the right, and you should take the time for yourself. If you are thinking about making any kind of changes in life, any kind of improvements, and we don't even necessarily have to call it an improvement, but just changing anything about yourself, you have the right, you have the ability to say, hey, y'all, I'm going to be, absent for about a week or so. Just give me time. I'm working on a few things and then I'll get back with you. And during that time, take an assessment of what you changed and what you've noticed within yourself that has changed. And then hopefully you grab onto it and stay that. It may take you about a month. Who knows? But you have to be your own advocate, one. And you have to have enough want. You have to have enough desire to make those improvements on your own without anybody's intervention or anybody's opinion. So keep that in mind too. If you feel like that is you and you are in a completely chaotic environment, or the people that you hang around, there's always something going on. Always something going on that you can take a step back from that and be like, give me a little bit of time and do your assessment on what you feel like that you need in order to create a more positive environment and a positive outlook for yourself. Man, you can do anything. You can be anything. And what I mean by that is I feel like we're all here for a purpose. Me personally, I feel like We all have a God-given purpose, and the only way to figure that out is really to have a relationship with him. So talk to me if you want more information about that. But I feel like in those, if we're operating in that kind of environment that is supporting our skills, that is supporting our capabilities, then we can do anything. We can do anything. Now, you might need God's strength for it, but you can do anything. So if somebody's telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that, who do you think you are, blah, blah, blah. Nope. Scratch that. Focus on yourself, what you want, and where you want to go. And surround yourself with people that uplift you, not put you down. And it doesn't matter if they're a relative or not. Bump that. I am very much Christian and very much love people the way, and that's my goal, right, is to love people the way that Jesus did. But if it's not good for you, it's not good for you. You have the opportunity to step back from that and set that boundary. Yep, so keep that in mind. Not everyone has your best interests at heart. All right, so I'm going to pivot just a little bit and talk about mindfulness and how we can practice mindfulness. And I always talk about how we can be present and unattached in our present, right? We've let everything go from the past. Or if we are still working on it, we're still working on it with a plan to let it go and properly address how it impacts us. But also, we have to live unattached and free if we are going to be completely present in the moment or show up as our best selves, right? You've heard me say this multiple times. And one way that we can do that is by practicing mindfulness. I may have mentioned it a little bit on a previous episode, but for this one, I think I'm just going to take a little bit more time to talk about how we can practice mindfulness and some of the benefits of doing that and how that can take you up out of negative thought patterns while you're actually in the moment, right? It's kind of like I equate it like to maybe like a little defense mechanism that we can do ourselves when we are in the moment and we are not feeling it. So this you can use as a defense to put up and protect yourself, right? All right, so when we talk about practicing mindfulness, I mentioned it. You have to be completely free in the moment and present. What are you doing in this moment? Practicing mindfulness interrupts your thought patterns, your thought processes, and brings you back to reality, to the present moment and what is going on. And how do we do that? Well, one technique is breathing techniques where there's multiple, and I'm going to only focus on one, but there are multiple types of breathing techniques that you can do. One of the ones that I like the most, and I really do feel like it's effective, is called box breathing. And in this kind of technique, you kind of get yourself centered, sit down, put your feet flat on the floor, or you can, I don't know, I feel like it's restricting. When I sit with my legs crossed, like we call it Indian style, I don't know why we ever call that either, but I'll have to check into that. But when we sit like that with our legs crossed, I feel like that's restrictive for me. So I like to sit in a chair or on a couch or, on an actual seat where I can do that and practice that. But box breathing is, so you exhale all the air out of your lungs and then take a deep breath that is slow. The key here is slow. You're going to inhale for 4 seconds. So breathe in, and then you're going to hold your breath. So hold it for 4 seconds. So in your mind count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to exhale. And you're going to exhale for 4 seconds. So you're going to exhale out of your mouth. So again, repeat. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold it. Exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold for 4 seconds before you take that next breath. And you'll repeat that cycle probably about 4 or 5 times. And not only just getting the oxygen into your body, but also just giving you time to focus on the present moment. Certainly pulls you up out of your mind. I do box breathing quite a bit, and actually it's so crazy because I was doing Tai Chi, and Tai Chi actually helped me learn how to take in deeper breaths. Breathing helps your body in so many different ways, physically and physiologically, that when I started doing Tai Chi, I could not. It took me a minute to figure out how to take an extended inhale. And after a while, I figured it out, and I was like, oh my God, I felt so different doing that. But having that capability just to take in a longer extended breath provides so many benefits for your body, your mind, your soul. So keep that in mind. So that's box breathing. Again, just repeating. You sit down, you exhale, close your eyes, fill your body, and then, inhale for 4 through your nose, 4 seconds. Hold it, 4 seconds. Exhale through your mouth. And it does help to purse the lips when you do that and exhale. That certainly helps. That blows off a lot more CO2 when you do that. Nurse. But anyway, and then after you exhale, just pause for a minute before you take that next breath, and repeat the cycle about 4 or 5 times. Another one, especially if you're really anxious, and forgive me, but I don't know the specific name of this, but I did learn this where you're very anxious, and like when you're a kid and you're like, you're crying and you're like, you can't like catch your breath. But if you do that, and just in a breathing exercise to help you with anxiety or to help you calm down in a moment, if you do that kind of thing, 2 or 3 quick breaths, that will help also calm you down. Again, these are things that you can try to see what works for you. I am not providing medical advice. It's just informational only. You can look and do some research on Google about breathing techniques. Something different may, work for you, but there are several different techniques that you can appreciate and learn to do that will help you. And then also, another thing that I feel like is a really good tool to do to continue to practice mindfulness is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, where the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method really emphasizes on being present in assessing your environment. So you look for 5 things that you can see. You look for 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear. Could be very simple. And 2 things that you can smell, and then 1 thing that you can taste, whether it's something that is right by you, or maybe use your imagination if you don't have any food items or drinks that are right there in front of you. But when you do that and you practice that mindfulness, it takes you out of your thought processes in your head and brings you right directly back to the present moment, so that you can reorient yourself and think about, like, what am I seeing right now in this present moment? What am I hearing right now in this present moment? What can I touch in this present moment? So just reorient you back to your present, and it's a very good tool to pull you out of your mind, right? A very useful practice is I mentioned earlier that we have so many thoughts per day. If we think about throughout our entire day, research has shown that we experience upwards of 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. Whew, what? If you think about it, there's another thought. But if you think about it, we are inundated with thoughts all day long. And if we don't control our response to them, then our thoughts are controlling ourselves. And so one particular practice that you can think of is, or that you can practice when you are having all these thoughts coming through, is think of your thoughts as a cloud, like a big white fluffy cloud, and it just comes in and then it goes and floats off into the sky, right? So if you think about your thoughts as a cloud, so observe your thoughts as like free floating clouds that just come and go and, don't really have any significance. If they're negative, you know what kind of thoughts that you're having, but also that doesn't mean ignore your intuition, right? If you feel like something's not right, something's not right. That's different. I'm just talking about like those 60,000 thoughts that come through every day. Another thing that you can do is focus on solutions and what can you learn from a particular situation, or the negative thought. If the negative thought is, well, you can't do that, then look at how you can create a solution for that. What can you do that you are capable of, or what can you learn in order to be able to do that? It might require some work, but it's also an effective point, an effective tool to help you come up out of that negativity. So just to recap, just being aware that these negative thoughts are coming through it will set you up so much for success in this area, where if you have an awareness to your negative thought patterns, to negative thoughts that come through, you have the ability to flip it, switch it, and address it in the moment so that you can remain present in whatever you are doing, whatever you are focusing on. There's lots of tools and lots of practices that you can create and do on a daily basis to prevent that negativity from coming out, whether it is from your thoughts or actually from your mouth. Remember, thoughts are powerful, as well as your speech patterns are very powerful. So you have to be mindful and intentional about what you're thinking and saying. All right, I thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you feel this content is helping you. And I thank you for your continued support.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of A Dash of Life podcast. I hope today's conversation added a touch of spirit, a pinch of passion, and a zest for life to your day.